Hi and assalamualaikum to sir. My name is Noor Arisha binti Ibrahim. I will start with the introduction. We are required to do a survey on a topic under subject English for academic enrichment. The topic given to us is education. We decided to do a survey about sex education and our topic is, does sex education need to be implemented in Malaysia? Sex education is high quality teaching and learning about a wide range of sex and sexuality subjects, discussing values and attitudes about those topics and developing the skills required to handle relationships and manage one's own sexual health. The purpose of this survey is to understand the point of view students on sex education in Malaysia. We conducted this survey through online platform because due to conditional movement control order, other group members share the survey link in group WhatsApp in MSU. In our survey, we provide multiple questions about sex education and multiple answer which is agree, disagree, and neutral. From this survey, we can see whether that the students are comfortable or not if sex education is implemented in Malaysia, and actually we got 50 respondents from MSU students.
Hi, Assalamualaikum sir. My name is Muhammad Haziq Aiman and I'm going to explain about why we choose this topic and also the importance of this topic. First of all, the topic that we have choose, which is, does sex education need to be implemented in Malaysia? We all know that sex education is a wide and a broad topic to be discussed in the public. The sex education is discussing about human sexuality, emotions, responsibility, sexual activities, reproductive health, and many more. For example, when youngsters have reached their age, they need to know, they are curious, and they need to know about this sex education in terms where we as an adult, we can help them, to guide them, and also to give them some knowledge and information for them to know what is sex education is. So the main reason why we are doing this survey is because sex education has not been implemented in Malaysia, especially in the education system. And that is why we are doing this survey, because we want to see the students and also the people, the respondents' reaction towards this issue. And for your information, when we are doing this survey, we found out that most of the academic people have agreed that sex education is an important topic to be discussed. And we also want to make sure that our children, the students nowadays, will understand about their body structure of men and women, and they have to accept their role and responsibility of their own gender. Next, I will explain about the importance of the topic that we chose, which is sex education. So the importance of sex education is, we want the people, the respondents, to understand the differences and also the similarities between gender, man and woman. Sex education really helps people to gain knowledge, information, skills, and sort of motivation for them to make a healthy decision in the future. Why we are telling and giving this awareness is because we want to educate them. For example, educate them about this one disease which is, it is really hard to cure it, which is the sexually transmitted disease or STDs. And by giving this information and knowledge, we can create an awareness for them to help themselves. And next is, parent and educator play an important role on helping their children to understand deeply about this topic. Parents can help their children to teach them about a moral value, where they can improve their moral value and also their moral behavior, because everything is start from home. And when we are giving this proper sex education to the people, to the children, to the respondent, people will be exposed and they will gain a lot of knowledge and information regarding this matter, and maybe they can be a useful thing in the future. Last but not least, we think that it is the best time for the education system to move forward and to implement this sex education into their education, because it can give a lot of benefits towards the people in the future. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, Sir Fairish. My name is Muhammad Azim. So I will explain my part, which is finding and the result for this survey that we have conducted. Based on the survey that we have conducted, there are 21 questions, and which is demography question and 15 question of the survey question. The demography question consists name, matrix ID, gender, age, faculty and course. The total of the respondent is 50, which is we got from all MSU students. For the first question, the Malaysia education system is not ready for sex education. For this one, 42% agree, while 48% of them is neutral about it, and only 10% of them disagree. We can see here that majority of them is not knowledgeable regarding this question. Hence, the neutral receiving the most vote. Agree received the second most vote, proving that they are agree that the Malaysian education system is not yet ready for the subject. Next question. Sex education bring more debate and sensitive issue in Malaysia. For this second question, 68% of the respondent agree to the question. 24% of them neutral about it, and while only 8% of them disagree with the statement. The majority of the respondent agree that sex education bring controversy in Malaysia if it is applied. Next, do you believe sex education should be taught in school? Based on the above chart, the percentage for the respondent is 74% agree and neutral is 24% and disagree is 2%. What we can analyze that 74%, which is more than half respondent, agree that sex education should be taught in school. We can see that the respondent want the sex education to include in this our education system. Overall, we can see that the respondent agree that sex education should be taught in school. For the next question, sex education is an important matter towards the students. The percentage of respondent agree is 68%, neutral is 28%, and disagree is 4%. More than half of respondent, which is 68%, agree that sex education is an important subject matter towards the student, and students need more exposure and knowledge about sex education. Continually, next question is, I will support sex education if be implemented in high education level. Mostly, the percentage of respondent is 76% agree if sex education be implemented in higher education level. Meanwhile, for neutral is 22%, thinking whether it should be implemented in higher education level or not, while vote for disagree is 2%. As for the result, we can see mostly they agree if sex education is taught at higher education level.
I will explain for the question 6. Educators should spend more time on teaching sex education in Malaysia. Based on the above charts, the percentage of respondents agree is 46% that educators should spend more time on teaching sex education, but 38% of them feel neutral from this statement, and 60% of respondents not agree if educators should spend more focus on sex education. We can see that half of them are still not ready if educators focus more on teaching sex education in Malaysia. For the question 7 is, I feel secure with the capability of educators with regards to teaching sex education. Based on the above charts, 38% of the respondents is agree and confident with the educators that teach the sex education, while another 10% disagree and feel insecure with the educators that teach the sex education. Meanwhile, the remaining 52% have neutral opinion where they could not decide whether to agree or disagree for this statement. For the question 8 is, sex education should be taught at home by the parents. Based on the above charts, most of the respondents, which is 62% of them, agree with how sex education should be taught by the parents by stating that parents need to be responsible towards the knowledge of sex education for their children. Another 20% stated that their disagreement on sex education should be taught at home, while another remaining 80% are the neutral position. For the question 9, I feel anxious and uncomfortable when discussing about sexual matters. Based on the graph above, only 8% feel anxious and uncomfortable while discussing about sex education. 52% of them feels neutral about it, and 40% of them is okay to discuss sexual matters. We can see that the majority is neither comfortable nor uncomfortable to discuss about sexual matters, while 40% of them is comfortable to discuss regarding sexual matters, and only 8% is anxious and uncomfortable to discuss about sexual matters. For the question 10, the needs of sex education are being reduced because of the easy access of internet nowadays. Based on the graph above, 32% of the respondents feels that the needs of sex education is reduced due to easy internet access, while half of the respondents, which is 50%, is neutral about it, and only 18% disagrees with the statement. We can see from this result that because of easy internet access, 30% of them feel that sex education is no longer needed because people can search things up easily in internet, while half of them, which is 50%, feels neutral about it, and 80% of them disagree, stating that sex education is still needed despite having access to internet easily.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Haziq Aiman, and I'm going to explain about the chart, which is the 12th chart, about do you know what is sexual transmitted disease, which is known as STDs. So based on the chart, we can see that there is 80% of people agree that they know about this disease, and there is 20% of the people, of the respondents, disagree, where we can see most of the people know about this and they are aware about this disease, which is it is a common disease, and 20% of the respondent, we can educate them in the future. Next, we are moving to the next chart, which is the goal of sex education is to avoid teenage pregnancy and STDs. So as you can see on the chart, there is 80% of the respondents agree, 16% of the respondent answer neutral, and also there is only 4% of the respondent answer disagree. So majority of these respondents agree that the goal of sex education is to avoid teenage pregnancy and also the STDs. And the remaining 16 are unsure whether to choose agree or disagree. And we can analyze that the people really know about the goal of the sex education. Next, which is the 14th chart, which is sex education is a taboo topic in society. And you can see on this chart, there is 52% of the respondents answered neutral, and 44% respondents answered agree, and also 4% of the respondents answered disagree. So we can see over here that the respondents, most of the respondents are unsure whether the sex education is a taboo topic in the society, where 52% of them answered neutral, and 44% of them know that the sex education is a taboo topic, they agree, and also only 4% of the people answer disagree. Last but not least is the chart where if you receive sex education, do you think it could be useful in the future? Based on this chart, you can see 84% people agree, and 16% of the respondents have a neutral thought, and there is no disagree answer from the respondent. As we can see over here, people do think that the sex education can be a useful thing in the future, whether they can use in the situation that they have been occurred. So, and last but not least, we think that the people really know about the sex education and they can use it in the future. And that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, Sir Fairish. My name is Amir Aiman bin Muhammad Syaful Bahrul. So today I'm going to explain about what we have learned from the survey. So from the research that we have done before conducting the survey, we found out that sexual problems in Malaysia are linked to the social illness that exists within this country, and the same problem also occurs in developing country as well, not only in Malaysia. So some examples of the issue can be seen when there are a high number of sexually active adolescents, the spread of STD, which is sexually transmitted disease, abortion, and even baby dumping. Therefore, this is the reason as to why our group created this survey, which is to find out if Malaysians are aware of the issues surrounding sex education. So our group's target respondent is MSU student. So from the survey that we have conducted, we found that majority of them agrees that sex education is not yet ready to be implemented in Malaysia, and that it brings more debate and sensitive issue in the community. Hence, many of them, particularly teenagers and young adults, do not have a clear understanding about sexuality and uninformed regarding the issues, which is sexual diseases and unwanted pregnancy, to name a few. However, the Malaysian government has proposed the implementation of sex education in schools to overcome this problem. Evidence can be found which is comprehensive sex education approaches can encourage young people to manage to have a healthy, responsible, and mutually protective relationships. So majority of the respondents also believe that sex education should be implemented in school and is an important subject matter that can enhance the students' knowledge of the topic. The students care deeply to learn about the subject, that it should be taught in schools and should be on the main subjects as well. They can achieve knowledge and deep understanding of sex education so that they can be aware of the problems and can contribute to overcome the problems. So finally, to conclude from the survey, sex education is an important topic and should be discussed more often regarding sexual problems. So with this mindset, our people can have knowledge of sex education, that they can know the problems and what impact it can have if not handled properly. So, however, some also disagree with sex education being implemented because they feel anxious and uncomfortable talking about it. It is quite understandable as the topic is not openly talked about and one can feel hesitant to talk about it. So, finally, we hope that from this survey, sex education can help people to be more educated in dealing with the problems. So that is all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum sir, my name is Muhammad Jalal Fikri. Now I will talk about the opinion and suggestion regarding the issue in the findings. Based on the result from the survey that we prepared, we could find that most of the respondents would say that they are agree on the implementation of the sex education in Malaysia. Our survey with the title of Does Sex Education Need to be Implemented in Malaysia is purposely made for us to come out with the findings at the end of the survey, whether does the sex education is being supported or against by the society to be implemented in Malaysian education system. Based on the findings, we could come up with the opinion of that sex education should be implemented in Malaysian education system with a proper planning. We also believe that there is more advantageous outcome that all of us could gain compared to their negative stereotype of the implementation of the sex education in the education system of Malaysia. Regarding the issue of implementation sex education in Malaysia, there are few suggestions that we could make on how to implement sex education in the Malaysian education system with the proper planning. The first suggestion is made the education system become familiar with sex education topics. The first thing to do is to create an overview that will make it possible to better understand one school's its need, strength, weakness and difficulties, and to target the resources available. However, it is important to know what the activity is going to be about before taking action, including the needs to discuss on sex education topics. The main nature for this suggestion is on how convincing the proposal and the planning of sex education, although it seems to be inappropriate for the younger students. It shown on how important it is to choose the topic wisely before implementing the sex education in Malaysian education system. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nubatu Shadania binti Muhammad Faisal. So we conclude all what we have done through this survey. In conclusion, we have found that most of the respondents are open-minded and agreed with sex education should be implemented in Malaysia. By doing this survey, it does not mean that they approve teen sex if a school provides sex education. They are just only seeking to better educate and take a positive approach to our students on this sensitive subject. So students would be taught about the risk by a proper sex education class and the number of teenagers who have STDs and the rate of pregnancy can be lowered in exchange. So these young adults need to be educated so they can be safe and protect their future. In the surveys collected, most of the girls are agreed with the implementation of sex education in Malaysia. So based on the evidence and studies done as well as carefully collected, not only that it shows that sex education brings many benefits by decreasing the incidence of teenage pregnancy and also protecting them from harm, but it can also offering reliable and helpful information to the adolescents. That's all from me. Thank you.